Hello guys, this is IP Tech here and I'm back with another video. So in this video I'll be doing the greatest budget gaming PC build. It's gonna cost you under £800, which is what I consider a very good price for a decently high-end build. This build should be very good for 1080p and 1440p gaming. Should have no problem getting high frame rates in the 60 or above and high settings and most games, even newer AAA titles like Witcher 3. Should be able to play those games, especially in 1080p. This should max out most games and get decently high settings in 1440p gaming. So the first part is the CPU, and the CPU I chose for this is the Intel Xeon E3 1231V3. So this is a Xeon processor, which most people think that you can't game on, but you can game on a Xeon processor, and it's basically an i7 without the iGPU. It's got 4 cores, clocked at 3.4 GHz with hyper-threading, so it's gonna give you the same performance as an i7 4770K or 4790K, and you can overclock it, but not by much, and it will depend on the motherboard you're using as well. And if this processor it comes up cheaper than an i7 4790K. You don't need a CPU cooler because you can't overclock it, and the CPU coolers that come with the Xeons are a bit beefier than the CPU coolers that come with the i7s. So you should have no problem using the stock CPU cooler, and it's overall a very good CPU cooler for just gaming. For editing, it's fairly low clocked, so that will affect its editing performance. But in terms of gaming, should have no problem gaming and handling all AAA titles. So next we have the motherboard, and you need a solid motherboard for this CPU if you want to attempt overclocking, which I would not recommend because you probably only get about an extra 400 MHz, which is not going to give you that much performance. And the motherboard I chose is the Gigabyte GA-B85 HD3, so it's the Gigabyte's ultra durable range. So it's going to have some solid VRMs, solid power delivery, very good build quality. As it's in the name, it's ultra durable, so it should have no problem handling a power surge or handling any sort of like moisture, and it's overall very good motherboard. Gigabyte's got very good customer services, so you won't have a problem there if you have a problem with the motherboard, which is going to be very rare. And the B85 chip is perfect for the Intel Xeon processor. You don't need a Z97 or H97. That's the B85 is more than enough to handle the Xeon processor. Next, RAM. And for this I chose the Kingston's HyperX Fury Black Series, 8 gigs of RAM. It's a 2x4 gig DDR3 1866 MHz RAM, which is more than enough, and at the moment it's extremely cheap at 34 pounds, which is very cheap for RAM these days, and 8 gigs is more than enough for gaming. As this is going to be a gaming build, you don't need any more than 8 gigs, and the memory frequency doesn't really matter. Even 1600 MHz is more than enough. Next we have storage, and again, as my last build, I chose the Crucial BX100 250GB SSD. So at the moment, price of this SSD is extremely good, extremely low as well, and it's overall very good performing SSD. It's made from Crucial, which made very reliable SSDs. And if 250 gigs is not enough for you, then you can get a WD Blue, sorry, or a Seagate drive. Those are very inexpensive these days, so you can get that further down the road, but this is going to be enough for starting off and should have enough storage for a few games and the operating system. Next is the graphics card. For this build I chose the R9 390 8 gig graphics card. So I would recommend this over a 970 in the long run, because it does have 8 gigs of GDDR5 memory, which is going to be very good for 1440p gaming, as the higher resolution is going to require more VRAM, and games are starting to use more and more VRAM, like Shadows of Mordor and GTA 5, which are known to be pretty especially Shadow of Mordor is known to be very high on RAM usage, which could go up to 6 gigs at times, so you have to think of that. And the 970 just doesn't have enough VRAM, especially with the VRAM gate, which happened a few months ago, where it doesn't actually have 4 gigs, it has got 3.5 gigs of RAM, which is and not gonna be enough for newly releases, for especially at 1440p gaming. For 1080p, the 970 is probably be good enough, I think. And it does come with Metal Gear Solid 5, which is a very good plus, meaning that you get like a 40-50 pound game for free basically. But if you're not interested in Metal Gear Solid 5 and you want the better performance, more VRAM, more room for playing games in the future at 1440p gaming, then I would go with the R9 390. And this is the MSI version, which has got the very nice zero throws cooler, which got massive, I think it's a 100mm fan, which gonna keep the card very cool. As we know, the 390 is very power hungry and a very hot card, so you should be able to have at least, and you should be able to overclock it. Like I haven't not a decent overclock, but a significant overclock that's gonna give you some performance improve. But I would not recommend overclocking AMD cards, as they don't overclock well, and the performance increase is not significant enough to excuse the higher power consumption and higher heat output. So I would suggest sticking to stock speed. Next we have the Fractal Design Define S, which is the case I'm using. It's overall very good case, very open design, nice big side window, which I like in all cases. It's got 3.0 USB 3.0 on the front. It's not as silent as the R5, but if you want silence, then yeah, get the i5, the Define R5. But this comes in a bit cheaper, and it still has the same look. It's pretty identical to the R5, so if you like the simplistic look, then get this. And it's overall very good case from Fractal Design. They make very good quality cases, and I would very strongly recommend using this case. And next is the power supply. For this I chose one of the best value for money power supplies, or the best power supplies for the money at the moment, which is the EVGA Supernova Next 650 watt 80 plus gold certified power supply. It's only £63 at the moment, which is a good price for a gold powered for a gold rated power supply, which is going to give you some very good efficiency at 650 watts, which is more than enough for our system. I chose the 650 watt because we are using an AMD card, which has got TDP of 275 watts, which is pretty high, meaning that it's gonna consume quite a lot of power. But contrary to popular belief, TDP does not actually mean the power consumption. It's a bit different, but it's an indication of how much it's gonna consume. TDP is basically the heat output. The higher heat output means the higher power consumption. So, and this is it for the build, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. Make sure you subscribe to my channel for more videos like this, and make sure you give the video a thumbs up.